Hello, Janine. Welcome back.
Hey, ladies.
So firstly, Janine, how was your trip to Vancouver?
Oh, really fun. Maybe not as restful as I would have hoped.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Trips never are.
No.
But I had fun, so that's good.
Yeah.
Okay, good.
Good to hear. Good to hear.
Well, we're very excited to talk to you as always. Thank you so much for joining us again. And we will make sure, if anyone's new to our channel, we will make sure we always do anyway, but put all your links below. We've got Tarot by Janine YouTube and Sending Ravens, also your website as well. Is that a good link to have?
Or even my Patreon.
Patreon? Okay, perfect.
Yeah. Right on.
Great.
I guess, Janine, we'll start the conversation today. We can't go past talking about Australia. I know I have a lot of viewers from around the world, but this impacts everybody, obviously.
And we always do like to, with our chats with you, Janine, we like to cover as much as possible around the world. We don't like to leave anyone out. So we will be including different places and
Countries,
different topics as well.
Well, just to give you an update. So we now have 3 cities in like a full shutdown situation. So Sydney, Melbourne, and now Adelaide, which is where we live. Yeah. So we've been in a full shutdown for what, 4 days now? 4 or 5 days?
Maybe 6.
Yeah, so it's meant to be a 7-day thing at this point. We don't know if it will be extended. It's looking like the other states might be extended, the ones that are in the shutdown, and that the other states in Australia are teetering. Yeah. It seems to be at the moment that we have the harshest of the restrictions. So basically it's just going out for essentials only, 1 person from your household.
Only exercise 2.5 kilometers.
From your house. You can't go any further. No unnecessary driving. There's a lot of police cars about and that sort of thing. I saw white police on white horses the other day when I was out running, and I was like trying to avoid them. I didn't want them to ask me for my ID or anything like that. So,
and they have actually been fining people at the supermarkets for not wearing a face covering. They're getting stricter on the signing in, the QR signing in. It's almost like a ballot sort of situation now. If you don't sign in with your phone, you have to fill all this detail out on a piece of paper and put it into like a box. It's really strange that the energy's horrible. Sorry, but it is at the moment. And we are doing our absolute best to just hold light and do what we can to project. And so we'll get into the first question, but that's just a bit of a rundown for the situation.
Long intro, but we had to get it out there because things have gotten pretty weird, but I guess we expected it.
And the rallies on the weekend.
Oh yeah, we did have rallies around the country, and I know around the world as well, from what we've seen some vision. So there was a fairly decent turnout for Sydney and Melbourne, and we believe ours was cancelled, I think for a few reasons, mainly because we have some very harsh restrictions going on right now, and I'm pretty sure people would have been arrested or fined if they had have gone, from what we've can understand from who was organising it. So bit of a shame that didn't sort of turn out, but we've certainly been there supporting all the other states around the country heaps of other times that we've gone. So anyway, look, that was that one. Hopefully we'll have more, and we'll just keep going, keep showing up and demonstrating. So
how long do you see, or do the cards tell us that we will be in this lockdown for the cities that currently are? And people are starting to fear an Australia-wide shutdown. Is that likely to go ahead?
And Janine, I'm not sure if we want to sort of stop there with the cards, but there is a sort of a part 2 to this, because some information has leaked out over the weekend. I think it's been circulating for a little while, but you might have heard there's potential that Australia could go into a stage 5 martial law shutdown at the end of August. So apparently there's army training up in Darwin, which is in the north of Australia. And apparently we've got 5 weeks to kind of get ready. And if this is what happens, Canada is the next one. What are the cards' thoughts, Janine?
Well, okay. So we definitely got the measures. So that's, okay. I've been getting this very interesting feeling, and I did a reading on it on Tarot by Janine. It'll be up tomorrow. I've been getting this feeling that Australia in particular, but also the UK, have been used, first of all, by the dark hats or the black hats as an experimental grounds to see how far they can push the draconian measures and how fast they can move in with globalism, I guess.
Yeah.
New world order, that kind of thing. Okay, so now I believe that it's been switched and the white hats are underneath the situation, which sounds crazy, but I think they're the shadow government. Okay, so I'm getting that again. I'm getting that there's deals have been made and people wanting to save their skin down the road have capitulated to the good guys. I know it's hard to see right now, but that's what it feels like. And what's actually happening is almost like a parent who wants to do some sort of what's that one? Your parent, tough love. Mm-hmm. I feel a tough love situation on Australia and the UK and other places. I think Ireland and Scotland are really bad too. All through this whole thing, Ireland and Scotland have had it really bad. Also, some places in South Africa, but I don't think it's quite the same situation down there. So I'm not going to include them in just what I'm saying here. I believe they're doing a tough love where they're now it's the good guys pushing also like an experiment or just trying to get a response. Okay, so they're trying to get a response out of you guys. And you're giving them the response to some degree. And actually, you guys have been doing really good. Like Australia in general, the videos we've been seeing coming out of Australia, it feels like you're just not putting up with it in lots of areas in Australia. You're just finally saying, no way. But for the longest time, though, it was surprising how they weren't stepping up, right? It was very weird because you think Australians, you think rebels, at least I do. Right, but for some reason, right? So they were now the good guys are pushing on you guys to get you to go enough. And when enough people wake up, and that's what that feels like. And if that was coupled with some really bad cards, I'd be worried about you, right? But it's actually coupled with this card here. So they're working on trying to get enough people having the right response. So the more people come out, even if they get written up, even if they get, I know it sounds like terrible advice. I know that, but like, it's not going to hold. I really don't get it's going to hold. And we have to stand up for our rights. And Australia is being tested. So is the UK, so is Ireland, so is Scotland. You guys are being tested and pushed to like get you to do the breaking point and wake up.
Yeah, okay.
Mm-hmm.
I don't get that passport's going to hold, even if it was put through and it appears like law. I don't get it. Whenever I look at it, it doesn't look like you're going to need that. And aren't they saying September? So everybody's saying in September, all of these things are going to be in place. I don't see it. Okay. I don't see it. So I don't know, man. I think you guys are getting tested.
Okay. It certainly seems that way in one way or another, doesn't it?
I think because it just has accelerated so much in the actually since we last spoke to you, Janine, it really has just gone so fast, the changes. So surprising to sort of be in it. Like it feels so odd and strange.
Yeah.
But it also tests you, and it does definitely make you step up personally and also in the community where you can. Can you maybe look to the cards, Janine, for are we all going to be treated the same like the states within Australia? Because as we said the other day, our rally didn't go ahead, but we also haven't been in that shutdown situation like a lot of the other states. So we don't know, I guess, that feeling, and we haven't been pushed to that point. If we can't get enough people together in, say, an Adelaide or a Perth.
Oh, I see what you mean. Yeah. Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. Like when you said that, I got the 6 of Wands, which is like a really good when it's celebration time and this is a known thing that's happening, I believe it's you're not going to be punished. No. But I do think for some reason, they're really pushing hard on Australia. I got that, also the UK, but I also get consistently that there's the white hats underlying. So even though it looks really scary and bad, I consistently get that. So I'm going to just say that until, I'm proven otherwise.
I mean, Carly and I look at the demographic as well of people in each city, and we know our city so well. Obviously, we've been living here most of our life, And if you compare it to Sydney and a Melbourne, they have a lot of different demographics there. And Adelaide, we have a lot of elderly people and a lot of young people.
And a lot of international
and a lot of international students
and that sort of thing as well. Like per capita, there's a lot of those concentrated demos here in this state. So potentially that's the reason why, you know, there may not be as big of a turnout, or we might struggle in that area. And it looks like we've got less, but that's because we have a lot less people that could potentially be thinking in that kind of way, or need a change in their life, in a sense, if that makes sense. So
I think they're looking for an overall Australian response. I don't think they're going every little.
Yeah. All right.
Yeah, it feels to me like they're looking for an overall response. And I asked, well, what'll shift everything? And this is my Mr. T card, or Mr. T in the White Hats card, and this is an ace. I really feel like he's still stepping up again in August, even though a lot of people are saying otherwise. I get he is. So that feels like that'll shift everything. And there might be something scary happen between now and then, or right around that time. Like, I feel like those, I'm not afraid because we've been warned. We know there could be something. Things are in the works, right? We know that there's potentially a big off-worlder scary thing. They're even talking about things projecting towards Earth really quickly, like a scare, off-world scare, that something's going to hit the Earth. And, you know, there's going to be, like, there's all of these things ramping up again. And these are all the dark scare tactics they had in place. But as I read the cards for over this last year and a half, every time I look at their scare tactics, it feels like they've already been undermined by the good guys. So these good guys, I believe, already won a ways back, and they're just playing the things out. So, and that's why it feels so ridiculous in your area. It's been exaggerated. Think about if they really wanted to, you know, create a global situation and say they started in Australia. Okay, they wouldn't put it on you so fast and furious. Do you know what I mean? They wouldn't, they'd creep it. Like they've been for thousands of years. They've been working on, like, this is the ramped up version of what they had planned. And normally they wouldn't do it this way because they would never get away with it. And they're not going to get away with it. But this is the good guys ramping up and showing you exactly what's going on.
Yes. Right. Okay.
What did they have planned? Here it is. Take a look at that. So you know, this is, you know, like, you know that that's what they had planned. And when they go to explain why there's been secret tribunals, why there's been all of these things going on that normal people don't know about yet. Okay. So everything I'm saying absolutely might sound crazy to somebody who doesn't trust in their heart that there is any white hats, or even a spiritual love for humanity. So the spirit world loves humanity, and even off-world entities that want to protect humanity. If you didn't believe any of that, okay, it would look like the end of the world's coming. We're going to be completely taken over by, and a lot of people are putting out videos that are really like pumping that out, right? And those are getting everybody riled up. But that's because they're void of the deep faith I have that there is white hats. They've been working on our behalf for a good 20 years, maybe longer. And that the spirit world is also on our side. Universe wins. Some people say God wins. I like to say universe wins. And our higher selves, we got this. We're teaching ourselves something. We're rising up. Like, there's all of these things working in our benefit right now. Moving up. We're evolving. Like it's that time for humanity. So everything's coming to this big crescendo, and we're right at the crescendo. So it's like,
that's right. And Janine, you're such a great leader as well.
I was just about to say,
oh,
it's
were
just
you?
a real, like everything
You
you were
are.
saying just then, like you're just a pillar of strength in this
You
community and for everybody
Everyone.
watching these videos.
Yeah, you truly are a leader. I got so
Mm.
many goosebumps when you were
Yeah.
talking and almost felt a bit teary, to be honest.
Yeah.
The little things that you say, like, stick in my head a lot. Like,
Mm.
you never really swayed from your own mission in your life. Like, just things like that, just keeping that real
Just that focus.
focus.
Yeah.
It just helps so much with this, and just having someone say that, just that one sentence, it just makes such a difference to just keeping your focus within this situation we're all going through.
Yeah.
So
That's what everybody needs. They need people that are strong and just holding that light. Just have to keep holding that light, and you're amazing at that, Janine. So thank you from us and from your fans as well. And now I just wanted to reiterate that the martial law situation, would that be a form of protection for us, just to really cap that, if that was to go down that road and these troops that are allegedly training?
Or a restriction.
Yeah, would it be restrictive?
Further restriction.
Or
As you said that, I pulled the yes.
okay. All right,
Yes. Good. Yes. Yeah.
Okay,
So
good.
what you're hearing about it could be a lot of made up stuff.
Yes.
So if you're hearing that it's to dominate you further, that's not the case. I think they're ramping up because I believe Mr. T is going to take his rightful place in August, and stuff's going to hit the fan all over the world.
Yeah.
And there's going to be a big mixed reaction.
Yeah.
And so they're ramping things up because all over the world, governments have capitulated, but this is not known to the general public again. Okay. We're privy to this, truthers, but not everybody knows this. So we got to remind everybody, capitulated, and they're all, when people start finding out that their government, what they've been involved in, first of all, and it's been coming out, like lists of what people have been up to, lists of elite people, lists of so much information's come out. It's all kinds of photographic evidence that people were looking at aren't anything close to what they used to look like even a year and a half ago. Like if you haven't noticed lately, like it's like side by side pictures of you name it. They got the pictures. Okay. Nobody's who they say they are, it seems. And everybody we thought was a good person likely isn't. And the person everybody demonized, Mr. T, turns out to be a good guy. So it's like, that's gonna create some havoc. That's gonna wreak some havoc.
Yeah.
So I think getting ready to just, handle the situation.
Yeah,
exactly. All right. Well, thank you for that. And thanks to the cards for clarifying that situation. Just staying on the topic of governments capitulating, we have so many questions, Janine, from viewers regarding all of the state premiers in Australia. And we will move away from Australia shortly. We will cover other parts of the world and whatnot. But people keep asking us about the individual premiers, or in America, they were called governors of each state. We have spoken to you about Mr. Andrews in Victoria previously, and you've done your own video on Mr. Andrews, and he's, well, long gone. He's had maybe a couple of doubles playing his role. But can we maybe just look at the other state premiers as a collective and just ask the cards, are they all working together? Are they part of the one link? Are they taking orders, I suppose, from the same group or person or whoever it is that's running the show? So if it is the shadow government, are they all taking orders from that one group? And how much longer do we have to see them there?
Yeah, right. So yes, as you were saying that, yes, what you were describing is correct to most generally. Okay, a lot of them aren't happy about it. So it's not like they're doing this and being joyful about it. They're doing this because they know they're in deep doo-doo, if that's even them still. Okay, don't forget that part. Some of them have been started off to the spa, right? Yeah, because this card in the middle. So most of them are doing this. They're working together with, and some of them have even literally been flipped, where they're actually on the good side, trying to do good now. But that's not all of them. I'd say about half and half looking at that. It was hard work to get the Australian government on board. I think there was a whole lot of black hats in that bunch, because that card says this, they were really hard pressed to get these guys working with the shadow
They're all freaks.
So,
Yeah.
right? A lot of what you're seeing is a facade. That card says it's a facade, but we've got 2 10s. So we've got 2 10s in tarot. One's at the beginning of the reading. That was at the top. This was at the bottom. So I'm going to say it's soon to be over. So the facade is soon to be over.
Okay. Yeah.
Great.
Right? Like I think if things go the way I'm thinking they're going in August, it'll be over. And things have already, a whole bunch of things happened already. Like,
Yeah.
it's hard.
Every time you turn around, something is happening. So
Yeah.
Okay.
All right. Thank you,
good.
Janine.
Thank you, Janine.
Just before we move on, Janine, we wanted to actually talk to you about Tasmania. So Tasmania is a state, it's off the mainland of Australia, and we haven't really heard a lot of media coverage or anything about the V situation there. But we did want to just touch on this. We've had some comments sent to us about Tasmania.
They actually hold a couple of really dark like festivals down there, sort of like art, music, sort of film type festivals. One is called the Dark Mofo, which is a winter solstice festival, which they celebrate that. And I've done a little bit of research just recently and found that actually when I first heard the name of it a couple of years ago, I was like, whoa, that sounds really freaky. I don't want to know anything about that. I looked into it and they use some really explicit dark group imagery. They use inverted crosses and they get them to dress in kind of weird attire. I think that's what the public have to do when they come to these festivals. So why do you think they would choose Tasmania to hold these festivals? How are they getting away with this? It's so blatant. And what is the level of I guess deep state control down there?
Okay, so the good news is they've been taken over by the good guys. So that's a positive for the human race kind of card. And this is what's going on with the dark hats down there. So they've been routed out. But for a really long time, they were attracted to Tasmania, probably because they could be blatant and get away with it. Just because, unsuspecting maybe in far corners of the world, we know that they are pretty blatant though. It was absolutely occult related with that card there. And they were very attracted to Tasmania. Now that could also have something to do with ley lines. That could have something to do with latitudes and longitudes that we don't know about, because we know they use numerology, astrology, lots of ritual dates. We know they use all of that. So all to their, dastardly advantage, right? Where all of those things are not bad in themselves. They're all wonderful tools, but of course they can be used for good or bad. Just like tarot, just like anybody that's afraid of those tools, maybe had some lifetimes where the tools were used badly or could have even come from a cult family, maybe in other lifetimes or this lifetime, or they're literally in the brainwashing because it was the dark cult and the families, I can't say the C word, families, that took over all organized religions, but in particular Catholicism, right? We know that with the whole Vatican thing and everything.
Yeah.
And with the Pope's blessing, who was obviously right from the get-go was created to be the shadow thing going on in the Vatican was horrifying. Okay, so meanwhile, they're making it bad. Tarot card readers are the bad guys.
Yeah.
When in fact, we were just trying to help people connect to their higher self without going through the church. Now, why did they want that control? Because they controlled everything. So when people tell me, oh, they're afraid of tarot, blah, 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 I'm like, yeah, because you were brainwashed by the dark. Tarot is a tool that the universe provided so we could directly connect to the higher universe. Okay, so if you're afraid of it, you've bought into the programming. Okay, because they programmed us to be afraid of things that are good. Everything's inverted. So everything you thought was good is not good. Manufactured, I can't even say the PILL word, on video. Manufactured sort of type stuff. All of that is created to help cover up and patch up things.
Yeah.
Not healing anybody.
No.
It might be there's a few things that manage your situation. But how did your situation in your body even end up being where it is? Because stuff that's been put in the food, blah, blah. Everything bad on the earth was created by those guys.
Yeah.
This is a beautiful paradise here, but it's been manipulated for thousands of years.
Yeah, no, you're
by
so right.
families. Yeah. And guess what? We've been the brunt of it. We're the brunt of their experiments. We're enslaved and we didn't even know it.
Yes.
So we're waking up to that. And remember, everything's flipped. So don't judge anything until you look into it a little bit, right?
That's right.
Yeah.
That's why these videos are so important, because we're talking about the truth. So it's so important to get
So-
these out.
Yes.
Yeah.
Janine, I just wanted to segue a little bit because I feel like it ties into this question that we had, which was a bit later on, but I just wanted to touch on it now, actually. Her name was Doreen Virtue. I don't know if you ever heard of her.
Oh, yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
so just if anyone that's watching doesn't know, Doreen is an American, well, she was an American New Age author of angel books and angels therapy. I feel like maybe some of her first books came out around the late 90s. Don't quote me on that, but I feel like it was around that time.
Yeah.
She's worth about $116 million. But she famously left the New Age community back in 2017, I think it was.
Yeah. And so she
And abruptly.
just up and left, basically. She turned to the church. She became a born-again Christian, if I'm not mistaken. And she basically changed her views on everything that she had been saying. And she did a list, like this, we'll call it maybe infamous list of all of the things that she disliked.
It was an A to Z list.
A to Z list. So using all the letters of the alphabet. So A would have been angels.
Anything
Like
in the New
Y
Age.
would have been yoga. T could have been tarot. There's so many things that she used. All of the things that we have come to know of, as you were just saying.
Yes.
Good tools.
Good tools.
Exactly right.
She dissed all of them. And
just left her people.
She
her fans up in there.
devastated so many people when she came out and did all of this. So what we wanted to know, Janine, was she ever legitimate, and has she been taken over by the dark?
I get her started out from the dark. So probably cult family upbringing and deep-seated programming that was hidden and then triggered. So that's why she threw them all under the bus, and they might have used her. So she didn't purposely set out to be, she was programmed to do exactly what she did. So she was to undermine all of that. And that was their way of doing it. They're going to make her a star and put her at the top.
Right. Okay.
And even though some of her stuff was kind of weak, it was okay. A lot of people loved it, but I never got, like, her cards were so weak, they didn't work. Like, I use cards all the time. And honestly, there's about 3 decks that actually work. There's literally thousands of them made. They were weak. They were like fluffy. Everything was fluffy. I felt, I never liked her stuff. So that's interesting. But she had all this big following, but
she did.
It was all kind of fluffy, blah, blah. And she might have even believed it herself, but she was programmed, and then she got triggered to flip it all. And she might not even know she's been completely used by the dark cult. And she's from a cult family and might not even know it. So that's what I get.
Oh, scary.
Yeah.
Okay. So is she on the dark side now, or is she just floating around in space as the new character?
She's definitely on the dark side.
Okay.
Yeah, or controlled by them. But she might not even realize it. Like, she might actually think she's a Christian, which is a riot, right? It's like, they just flipped her. They do this to people. I'm sure they've done it to several artists, actually, several musicians. I've seen it.
Definitely.
Yeah,
it's sad. It's sad.
Okay. Yeah, because so many people were sort of left with, well, what do I believe in now? Because she just held such a presence, I think, in the New Age community.
That's the whole human lesson right now.
Yeah.
Okay. Nobody's my guru.
Yeah, exactly.
I couldn't care less who flips or doesn't flip. I know what I know. I directly talk to the spirit world, and I couldn't, nobody's more interesting or important than me, but they're also not less interesting or important. Do you get what I'm saying?
Yeah,
Absolutely. Yeah.
You guys are as interesting and bring as much knowledge to me just talking to you as I met two fantastic, wonderful gals that met me at the hotel, two different people that got a hold of me because they watched my videos and they found out I was in Vancouver
Oh,
to meet up with them. They're not less or more, like they're not more important than me. I'm not more important than them. Everybody's equal. And as soon as we figured that out,
yeah.
Maureen Virtue was, you know, like a symbol of something. And what really people need to do is stop putting anybody on a pedestal and idolizing anybody. Nobody's my guru. They're all human. My teacher that taught me tarot was absolutely flawed, also wonderfully talented. And she had a tragic life. She was brought up in a dark family. I didn't know it at the time, but now that I see, I remember the story she told. It was absolutely a spiritual abuse family. She taught me to read cards, and she had a lot of flaws, let me tell you. But she was, so do I, so does everybody. But she was also brilliant and human.
Yes.
Yeah.
And like it's like we got to stop putting people on pedestals, and that includes people like Doreen Ver. It's a lesson for everybody.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So well
find
said.
your own spiritual connection.
Yeah.
Don't depend on somebody else.
Yeah, that's right. Or so many people ask us about celebrities. They ask us to ask you about different celebrities, and we try to do what we can. Obviously, there's so many we could talk about, and they all, you know, I'm sure have an interesting story, but the only reason why we do talk about celebrities is just to break down, like you said, break down that idolization, take them off that pedestal and realize that we no longer need to do that.
It frees up space in people's minds as well, because they've been so fixated. And when you free up space in the mind and the body and the heart and the soul, you can really start to evolve and and you know, increase your consciousness, which is what we're all trying to do. So
exactly.
Thank you, Janine. We wanted to move on to New Zealand. The Prime Minister there, Jacinda, this question came from Janice, our viewer. So Jacinda, Janine, she's extremely hardcore. She's got a terrible agenda. She's been known to say things such as, if you don't take this, we're going to come and hunt you down. That's what she's said to people.
She's scary.
She's scary. Her mannerisms in press conferences are extremely bizarre.
And they're getting more weird as well.
She's getting really, really weird.
Yeah. So it seems like she is under a bit of pressure of some sort. There's also been some footage and a bit of commentary around the fact she may have an inverted gender. And I've seen some footage myself. And I don't know whether she was forced to wear this particular outfit that would have, I guess, accentuated these parts of her body. But we wanted to look at that. Is she indeed a man?
Yeah.
So is her gender inverted? And how much longer do the New Zealanders have to put up with her being in charge?
Because we get a lot of questions around that.
She was definitely born a male.
Okay, not surprising.
And she's definitely at least spent maybe the beginning of her life here with these dark cultures. Okay, so she would be a black hat. Okay, but she's since capitulated and is doing the bidding. Not very happy about it, mind you. Not very happy. She was hard to convince, let's just say. Yeah, not very happy about it. And I feel like right now she's like just being really told to play the bad guy.
Okay.
Okay, like they're doing this with Mr. B in the United States too. Like you should hear the stuff that's coming out of his mouth. I mean, he couldn't make it worse and more obvious. It's so obvious. It's like if people can't figure this out, that there's something weird going on here with these people, it's so obvious. Like, yeah, they're just exaggerating everything to try to get people to snap out of their programming.
Yeah.
Are New Zealand likely to see the back of her and her image soon enough?
You mean when she goes officially exits?
Yes.
Well, according to my cards, she has or is about to leave for good, or even maybe she's already been taken to that spa or some version of, I'm sure there's spas all over the world, frankly. I've heard there is. So that's interesting. Yeah, she could have already gone, frankly.
Okay.
Okay.
surrender. So she's surrendered already. She's surrendered. I don't think I don't know who you're seeing.
Some weird.
Maybe you're seeing old footage of what they made her do.
That's true.
Yeah, could be.
And they're like CGIing you. Okay.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, she's a bizarre one.
That's
isn't she?
good news for New Zealand.
Yeah.
So for all the New Zealand viewers, there you go.
Yeah.
Thanks, Janine. All right, we wanted to move on to Malaysia. We have a viewer, Maggie. She reaches out to us quite a lot. She's very concerned. They've had a form of lockdown, she's mentioned, for about 16 months. So the restrictions there are really, really bad.
Yep.
We haven't heard a lot about Malaysia, but she's kept us sort of informed. So we wanted to look to the cards for the situation there currently. Are they going to see some improvements? When can they expect to feel some changes for the better?
Okay, so they had a really hard time getting Malaysian governments to capitulate, by the way.
Okay.
In fact, about half of them have and half of them haven't.
Mhm.
So there's still a tug of war between the good guys and the bad guys there.
Okay.
But about half and half, I'd say, are actually half are working for the good, these guys.
Okay.
That's the Mr. T and the White Hats bunch. And then the other half are working still for these guys. So that half just obviously didn't get the memo that, oh, by the way, we capitulated to those other guys, but they didn't get the memo. So they're going to need intervention from off-worlders if they don't already have it. It looks like they might have already, maybe they're in the middle of that actually.
Okay.
Of wands. And so I guess all the crazy lockdown is while this war is going on, it's literally like a spiritual war is going on between the black hats and the white hats. They probably need everybody out of the way.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay.
All right.
Yeah, because they wanted to, it looks like they haven't got to all the trafficking is really bad there and what they do with humans.
Yeah. Okay.
And probably the underground activity and whatnot. So I feel like they're still doing a lot of work there.
Okay. All right.
Okay. So should they sort of see some improvements, would you say, by the end of the year? Is that looking potentially likely?
Let's have a look. Before that'll happen, there's going to be a big situation that's going to speed things up. So it could have taken that long, but things are going to be speeded up, and it'll be more like October. They'll see a big improvement because something goes down between now and then that feels like it affects the whole world. And that's when things get revealed. And that's when people will have to wake up en masse that all of their governments were deep state, almost all of them, all over the world, or a whole lot of them anyway. Let's just say a whole lot of individuals were compromised already in most governments and most high places. So I feel like a lot of that's been undermined by the good guys. So the good guys went in and did exactly what the bad guys have been doing since the beginning of time. And they have the shadow governments flipped from deep state to Mr. T and the White Hats governments. And I feel like once everybody figures that out, and it's going to probably happen in some kind of an event that'll lead to the stepping up out of the shadows of all those government, like who's really running all these countries going to show up. They're going to have to, because you know what's going to hit the fan when, because there's going to be one big push from the bad guys on the way out the door. This is what we're thinking anyway. And it'll actually work in the favor of the whole situation, I think, because it'll blow it all the cover off.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then it'll have to get talked about, and mainstream media can't keep repressing it.
Right.
Okay.
Because I think this is their way of taking down the medias, and everything's already got infiltrated, and it just needs to collapse.
Yeah.
But that's hard. I mean, it's going to happen all over the world. It's going to be a little intense, but I think it'll be worth the trouble. Let's just say.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
All right.
Nice.
Thank you, Janine. Okay, we wanted to turn our attentions to Italy. So Northern Italy was one of the worst hit, I guess I'll say, back last year in March.
Yep.
And we have a family that lived there. We heard it sort of firsthand, what was going on, the level of the shutdown, the restrictions. So they've had quite a bit of improvement there from what we've heard. They don't really have a lot of restrictions anymore. They're not forcing this at this point. It's
People have
choice.
had it. They have had it.
But it seems to be of a choice if you want to or don't want to.
They had some big rallies too.
They
in
had some
Milan
big rallies
over the weekend. Yeah.
We just wanted to look to the cards, Janine, to see, is Italy and Northern Italy, are they going to be leading the way in the way we move out of this, in a sense?
So is it a good sign?
Yeah, is it a good sign?
Where they're at now. Yeah.
So they were at the beginning, they looked like they were the experiment somehow by the bad guys though.
Yeah.
So they were targeted by the bad guys, but that's been switched over. So there's a secret government working underneath and they're the good guys. It's been switched over. So we've got an ace there. So working on the behalf of, and I said on behalf of what? So the people. So we've got this for the population. So that's definitely not for the bad guys. So that must be the same situation. So maybe they're just cutting them a break because they started out getting the worst. They had the worst. It's almost like the bad guys started there.
Yeah.
With the whole situation at the very beginning. They were the ones targeted right from the get-go.
Yeah.
And then I believe the good guys undermined their efforts at some point. And then they're easing it up, it looks like, because maybe they're feeling for them.
Yeah. Okay.
Right?
Yeah.
They've had it really bad, right? So maybe
they have,
cutting them some break. I mean, those guys had it honestly like they were like literally in prisons in their own home.
They were. And we heard it firsthand because we spoke to our cousin so often, like every other day, and it was so bad over there.
Because we were in Northern Italy, literally.
We just escaped.
Just before that.
We were there in like February or something of that year, 2020.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah.
You are so lucky.
And we're actually almost going to move there with our cousins. So it was...
because we were living in London and then we were thinking of moving to Milan.
Yeah.
But we couldn't quite get things sorted. So it's 100%.
We know why.
The reasons why we know. So
I would like to escape there now.
Oh, now. Yeah, definitely.
Are they likely to see a resurgence in anything over there in Italy? Not like before, hopefully, but is there anything to suggest that?
Well, they got to really take a look at where they're like, again, like the whole world is going to have to really look at their government. They're going to have to really recreate from scratch how they, like if they want to continue to be Catholics, if a lot of them are, because I know a lot of them are, they're going to have to really look at that differently.
Yeah.
They're going to have to really do their social, like there's a lot of vulnerable people there that were being abused, that was being covered up by the,
we know.
upper police force, so there's all kinds of stuff going on, like there is everywhere, by the way. So they're going to need to recreate themselves from scratch. Okay, but what I get here is that they're going to become again one of the places for food, drink, and relaxation. So they're going to recreate themselves and be a hot spot for where people go to really have sensual pleasures. And I mean that in the good sense. So really good food, really good wine, really good, the kind of drinks they make, and really good relaxation. And it'll be a holiday hotspot again. Yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
But it's going to take time.
Well, they're known for tourism, so that's what they do. That's, keeps them going. So that's okay.
Okay,
Looking reasonably good for them.
Yes.
Yeah. Janine, we can't do a reading with you and not touch on at least one or two celebrities. So we're just going to look at, this is a very big celebrity actually. And I don't think you've done a reading on this before. I hope you haven't. We wanted to look at Ringo Starr from the Beatles, because we've obviously heard bits and pieces about Paul McCartney, that he may have been taken out back in the 60s, the original one. There may be two Paul McCartneys wandering around. There's many different versions of what's going on. Nevertheless, it looks as if he's definitely on the dark side. There's a lot of evidence that would suggest that, especially with the company that he keeps. But I know that Ringo, he turned 81, I think, a couple of weeks ago. And we did see some pictures emerge that, well, he didn't really look like what you would think an 81-year-old would look like, that looked like Ringo before. So that was a little bit odd. So we looked into that. And I guess we wanted to just know, I mean, obviously he's good friends with Paul McCartney. Where does Ringo Starr sit in the whole deep, dark group situation? Is he a part of it? Has he been a part of it all along? And is he still around?
Do you guys know much about his personal life?
Oh, only what our mum would have told us. Just, you know, does he had a couple of wives? I don't know, a couple of children.
Did
probably.
he lose a child?
Oh, we're not too sure.
Oh, I don't know.
Yeah, we don't know.
Yeah, I kind of get this feeling
Okay.
that he was playing around with dark things and dark energy, and just like all of the Beatles,
Yeah.
every one of them, even ones we like, right? But who stepped away from it later.
Mm.
But he was definitely involved, it looks like. But I feel like he stepped away from it because he lost, or he knew a child that he personally might have known. Maybe it wasn't his own child, and that child was sacrificed, is what I'm getting.
Wow.
And whether it was his own or somebody close to him's child, and that really affected him, and things became really real, like just how dangerous that cult is. And I feel like he stepped away from it, and it made him really sad to know, like, he stepped away, but others continued, and he knew they did. So he walked a fine line, it feels like.
Okay.
And
is
I
he
feel
still
like
around?
he might even be working with the good guys in the background. So I don't think who you saw was him.
Yeah.
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 Definitely looked different, didn't it?
Yeah.
That
Yeah.
picture. But it's just one picture.
Yeah.
So
I feel like he's being helpful to the good guys in secret.
Okay.
Mm.
All right. Well, that's potentially good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I don't think you're seeing him. I think he's,
Okay.
if he's still alive, it looks like he is. He's
Okay.
actually being giving evidence, or has.
Okay. Oh, good.
Yeah.
All right. Well,
That is
he's
good,
he's
yeah.
actually my favorite Beatle. So whenever I've seen my mum's old albums, I always like Ringo the most.
Yeah.
So that's just, he just sort of stood out to me. But yeah, interesting. All right.
Just a couple of more
Yeah.
questions, Janine. Just one around the Olympics, because it's so current.
Yeah.
I don't know if you've seen any of it so far.
Oh, not at all.
No,
it's very bizarre.
soulless. There's a lot of this going on.
Yeah.
It just looks like one big advertisement for
this.
this, as you would
Truly
expect.
does, yeah.
How
creepy.
pathetic. What a thing
I
to
know.
be hoping for.
Yeah. It's like, it's a very odd energy.
Mm.
It's, yeah, like we said, it's quite soulless. There's no pizzazz about that like you would
Yeah.
normally get at a sporting event such as that.
Yeah, yeah.
So we wanted to just look at a couple of things. Are the White Hats going to use this event to do anything, display anything, signal anything? Because we know it's a big signaling for this, but are they going to do anything? Given that it's such a huge world audience.
Well, it looks like there is, or something's already either happened or going to happen right at the end. When does it end?
Well, it's
The
2 weeks.
2 weeks.
Yeah.
I think it started
Okay.
on, I think it was Friday.
Yeah.
Oh, was it?
It's Friday just gone.
Okay.
Yeah, Friday or
Okay.
Saturday.
I thought
Yeah.
it was Sunday.
No, it wasn't.
Okay.
So they're patiently waiting for something they got planned
Okay.
that's going to be a big signal from the White Hat bunch.
Okay.
And the other bunch has, because this was planned a long time ago. And don't forget, so was the whole lockdown and this. They have evidence that that's been in the planning for years.
Mm.
Okay, so they already knew, the powers that be, even before the Olympics started, they'd be signaling that. Okay, they already knew.
Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, but they haven't been able to do. So the bad guys haven't been able to do even half as much as they'd like to. So a lot of their stuff got taken out of it because the good guys are involved. But they've left some of it in there, I guess, just to let these bad guys look foolish.
Yeah.
Okay.
Because that's literally what it sounds like it's turning out to do.
It is. It's creepy. Yeah.
By the way, the off-world or helpful energy from off-world is keeping a close eye on that event.
Okay.
And they're the ones, or somehow they're going to be somehow helping for this big signal right at the end. So we'll have to keep our eyes open for that.
Yeah.
Okay.
There's going to be some kind of signal to anybody who's got any kind of common sense is what I'm getting.
Okay.
Like true people that watch shows like this and whatever, they'll get it. They'll get it for sure.
Okay.
All right. Just one more question regarding the Olympics. Jenny, obviously you haven't seen any of it, and we didn't watch the opening ceremony, but I have seen a few little bits and pieces. So they had a couple of celebrities singing, but they were all projected on a screen. So it was just a recorded piece of vision. It had like 4 different people. One of them was John Legend, who you know who he is. He's
yeah.
I have no words.
He's the dark hat.
I know. Why does he always appear at these things? It's like he's the only person that agrees to do anything. But anyway, it's another story. And also Keith Urban. And he was supposedly, they had 4 people singing on there, and they were all representing different portions of the world. Keith Urban represented the Oceania portion or section of the world. And we've actually had so many viewers ask about Keith Urban because he's married to Nicole Kidman. We know where she sits in her family, certainly her father, that whole situation. It doesn't look good for him, but he's supposedly doing a tour at the end of the year, and he's also appearing on The Voice Australia. Now, I've seen some snippets of that as well. It does look like him. So what's going on with Keith Urban? Wouldn't he be long gone by now? Is this a fake Keith Urban? People really want to know this.